All right, I think I just have three more to go. I could be wrong. Um, but whatever. Here I am, Samuel Alexander, again with more poetry. I kind of started like you just watched the one that I just did. Like, I've got three more to go and no introduction, but you know what? I'm concerned. I'm bothered. It'll be what it is. But here I am with another poem from my book, Dario, which is the first in a series, I See Things in Blue. Um, this poem, I feel like I wrote either early 30s or I told you I was falling asleep late 20s or something like that. I don't know. But it's interesting. I tried to turn it into a song. Yeah, mixed emotions. It didn't quite work out. So we won't be singing it because it didn't quite work out. But I'm definitely going to read it for you. Um, and personally, I think this is how Dario feels when he's making music or reading a book. He's an avid reader. Um, when he's being his creative self, which is usually solitary things, reading, creating music, singing. Um, and he does them for those reasons because they make him feel good. And he can forget about the life he's living that he doesn't enjoy and he doesn't believe in, but is pretending he believes in. It's his only real escape um, from the life that he's in that he doesn't want to be in, if that makes sense. Um, and this song, poem, because the song failed, speaks to that. So it expresses that side of him that lives within the depression and anxiety and low self esteem that he suffers from. Um, so this one is titled Flight. I fly on angel's wings, soaring through clear blue skies as I rise high. Feel the wind blowing against my face. I find rest, peace, tranquility, and escape my worries just for a while, and almost forget to fly back to solid ground. Um, yeah, I think the last line is what really lets you know what's happening here, in my opinion. And most importantly, I probably should have said this before. Um, I definitely firmly believe once you've got the poem, that's on you. Because, like I said earlier, I don't necessarily always know where I'm going with it, where I'm going to end up when I'm writing it. Sometimes I do. I just know. This is it, like I said before. And other times, it evolves and grows as I'm creating it. And so I hopefully believe that when people read my poems, especially, that instead of thinking about what I wanted them to be, they think about what it is to them and they find it relatable and completely wash their hands of the fact that I wrote it. Because when I express what I'm thinking about it, I'm very well aware that someone else will read it and they will experience it differently, and that is absolutely a-okay. Um, because based on our life experiences, there's a few things that you can feel from what you write, and so I think about that when I write something, especially if it's something that I may not necessarily have experienced myself. If someone has experienced it, what would they think if I use this word? And if it's like 10 different things, that's too many. What would they think if I use this word instead? Okay, now I've got it down to five possible ways they can take it. How they're going to take it depends entirely on the sentence I use next. And so I can't like to craft things where the overall surface, what you see, is obviously relatable. And then what you personally take back from it, since it's poetry, and you really read it, and you start associating it to your own life's experience, that is where it changes for everybody. So it is a thing when I create it, and it is something that I want to say and portray. But after that, after you see that, it is poetry, it is songs, it is music, and it's going to land differently once you allow it to settle within you. So it's totally okay to be like, yeah, I don't see that when I explain something, because do you see something? What is it that you see? Art is art. Um, and that's fine. And I got sidetracked. But I think the last line explains Dario's situation very well, because since this is what he does when he reads and sings and creates music, he definitely doesn't want to come back to solid ground. He doesn't want to land. He doesn't want to be a part of the life that he hates so much, because he's so at peace when he's in this space that he does almost forget to come down. And it is what it is. Sometimes we are like that in life. We find our special place, but reality is still there. Um, and some days we can shape our reality into the thing that we want it to be the most, and it brings us happiness and joy. And then sometimes life just lifes, and because everything is within your control, and it's wild to think that, because I cannot control everybody's reactions to the things that I say, and I can't always, every single time, say it the way that it is in my head. Sometimes things are going to get misconstrued, and I will say or do something that I'm going to have to apologize for, because again, life lives. And there's a difference between, I don't know, owning your destiny and believing that you can control and micromanage every single facet of that destiny, because you're going to meet different people. You're going to walk down different roads and different paths. And sometimes there will be roadblocks. What are you going to do when something you couldn't predict happens, if you're not fluid enough to be like, you know what, that's okay. I'm still going to reach my goals regardless of this wall. I will figure it out. So yeah, I don't know. It's wild to me. Yeah, wild to believe that you are not going to have to adjust at some point. And that's what forgetting to come back down is all about. Convincing yourself that this lane that you found, that is nothing but happiness and joy and sunshine and rainbows, is the only street that exists in the entire known universe, because that's just a falsity. There's plenty of roads, and you can forget to come back as long as you don't forget forever. I mean, you have to come back to the space that you've created, and hopefully as time moves on, that space becomes something that you don't want to forget to come back to. And that explains Dario very, very well. So there's much more to explain about this as it relates to him now that I've read it than it did before I read it. And now I am done. So this was Flight from my book Dario, which is the first in the I See Things in Blue series. And if you made it this far, again, thanks for stopping by.